name's Romina Rasmussen. I'm the pastry chef at Le Madeleine in Salt Lake City, and today we are going to make a pumpkin chiffon tartlet. In order to do that, I need some pumpkin. You can have either store-bought or homemade roasted pumpkin. I've got some spices, some cinnamon, ginger, salt, as well as brown sugar in this bowl. I'm going to add 3 egg yolks to that, and I'm going to mix it up and some milk. So we're going to mix that up, and we're actually going to cook this on the stove for a moment. We don't want to bring this to a boil because it'll curdle our eggs. So we're just wanting it to be smooth and thicken up a little bit, but on a lower heat so that it doesn't boil. A whisk is a great way to get that to be fully incorporated. And so while this is cooking, I'm going to bloom my gelatin. I have gelatin here, and I'm going to sprinkle it over some cold water. I'm going to help it along, get incorporated by mixing it up. And that way the gelatin will absorb the water. That's called blooming. You want to get it all incorporated. You don't want any clumps because they won't come out later on. So I'm going to put this on the stove. On a relatively low heat, and in the meantime I'm going to get my meringue going. So in this bowl I have some egg whites. We won't add the sugar until it's foamy. We do want this to be warm enough that it'll melt our gelatin when we put it in. Okay, so you're going to slowly add the sugar when it starts to be foamy. Now you just have to be patient. Okay, this is starting to bubble a little bit, which is just right where we want it. So I'm going to add my bloomed gelatin, and you can see that it absorbed all of the water. That's what we want. And you can see that it's completely disappeared. It has completely melted. So that's exactly what we want. Since we're getting our meringue ready, oh, and it's getting nice and shiny. That's what we want. Get ready. So you want a nice smooth meringue. So I'm going to cool this off quickly over an ice bath. And when you make an ice bath, you want to do ice and water. If you just do ice, then the bowl will only be cold where the ice is directly contacting the bowl, and this will keep it so the water helps increase the surface area. So we want this to be cold, and it should hold a ribbon when it's ready to go. You don't want it to set up completely because then you won't be able to fold in your meringue. So you're just trying to get it to be cold. If it's too warm, then it'll deflate the meringue and it won't be fluffy. And the more you can spread it out onto the bowl, the faster it's going to cool off. You could also just cool this off in the refrigerator, stirring it once in a while. But you don't want to make it so far in advance that it sets up before you can add that. Another way is that you can make a track through the center and it will come back together very slowly. So we're really close to being ready here to be able to use this, which is great because our meringue is going to be ready very soon too. So once you have it at the texture you want, take it off the ice bath so that it doesn't continue to cool. All right, I think our meringue is set. Oh, it's a little soft, so I'm going to give it a few more minutes. Once you've got it started on a low speed, you can turn it up later on in the process because it's already very nice and stable. So we can, but never on high unless you're making an Italian meringue or a Swiss meringue. This is a French meringue because we're not adding any heat to it. Okay, that is much better. So let's hold it. It's kind of a medium peak. I think that's okay. You just don't want it to be so soft that it just kind of disappears into your mixture. Okay, so what we usually do is we're going to take about a third of that, and that's called sacrificing. We're going to sacrifice that into the pumpkin mixture, and that will get the two textures closer to one another, and that way this won't deflate our meringue completely. So this is one of those things you want to do ahead of time because this gelatin needs time to set up. So you can chill it for a couple hours or overnight. So this is a great thing, like if you're having a party, to make the night before, and that way all you have to do is pull it out of the refrigerator and garnish it with whipped cream or candied pecans or whatever it is that you've decided to garnish it with. And I always, when I fold, I spin my bowl one direction and I fold from the center out. So once it's all mixed in, I'm going to take I made some pecan and graham cracker crusts. And we're doing these as little individual tarts. Here at my bakery, we actually do everything in individual portions, which I really like. So then you can either put this in a piping bag or you can just pour it in. And of course, this you can be made into a large tart for slicing as well. After these set up, I would garnish them with a quenelle of whipped cream. And that's how you make a pumpkin chiffon tart.